Polymodeling. I will start by putting images in image planes. So these are two image planes with a head. I didn't design this head myself. This is a mugshot, and mugshots are great for modeling heads. There's a celebrity mugshot website where you can get Bill Gates and anybody who's ever been in contact with law enforcement. So you might know this guy, and I'm going to try and model his head. The grid is terribly in the way at this point in this view, because it's in the center of the screen, so I'm going to turn the grid off. And it's nice to have him out here. At some point I will probably kill those images from the 3D view. In polymodeling, you do not start with a box or a full shape, you start with a single polygon. So let's say we want to start on this guy's nose. I have to switch to the polygons menu, then go into mesh tools, and I'm going to create a polygon, create polygon tool. And I want to start right at the center, so I can later mirror his head around. So I hit X, meaning snap to grid. I'm just going to draw my first polygon right here. So there's a little polygon there. It's in the right spot. And these 2 points I snap to the grid so they're exactly on X is 0. It's a bit too big. So I'm just going to go to my edge and move the bottom edge up. But I'm still absolutely sure that it fits on the, it's still the X is 0 on that point, which is really handy later on. Now, to increase the amount of geometry, I'm going to use extrude an awful lot. So I've got this one polygon. If I hit extrude, which is hidden up here, I can switch with this little thingy, switch between object mode and world mode. So I'm going to switch that to world mode to make sure that I'm going to draw it down exactly straight and get my next polygon out. And I can do that again, make sure I'm in world mode, and pull the next polygon out. So now I've got 3 polygons. Let me just go to object mode and select them for a second. They seem to be sort of in the right spot, but if I look at my 3D view, you'll see that they're somewhere in the middle of his head, because I just drew them on the grid, which is centered in his head. And in this view you can see it's sitting right there. Now I could, in object mode, pull these forwards to the right spot, but that will mean the object itself will no longer be sitting on the Z is 0 axis, not in the middle of the plane. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to select the vertices and pull those forward to where the nose actually needs to be. And then go in and say, okay, this one should be a bit more over there. This one should be a bit more over there. And if I say this one, I actually mean this one and the one behind it, because at this point, I do have actually camera-based selection on. So why did it still pull both? That's kind of odd. It did. And in this view, I can now start messing with the vertex mode and placing the polygons a bit more precisely. And if you do anything on the axis, I always pull on the arrow instead of just moving them freehand. Seems to be really tedious because you only have 3 polygons, but I'll speed up later. One thing to check is if the polygons are the right side round. If it's not, if it doesn't have to be inside out, his head. You can always change it later, but this would be a good time to do it. And you can do that by clicking on the object and then in the display options for polygons, choose to show face normals to see if they're actually pointing out. And they are. And that's because I drew the very first polygon counterclockwise, which makes them front-facing. He's not that hairy, so I'm going to turn that right back off. But at least I checked if it's inside out or not. So face normals are going off. All right, now getting up here to hit extrude all the time is kind of annoying. You have the new modeling toolbox on the side here, which does have an extrude. That extrude doesn't come with the nice manipulator yet, that you can pull it and rotate it in all directions. So I like to keep using this extrude up here, but I need to access it a lot, so it would be awfully handy if I could just hit a key for extrude. There is by default no shortcut key for extrude. But we can go to settings and preferences and go to the hotkey editor. You can assign a hotkey to just about anything in Maya. And I want to do something with my meshes. And I think it's on the edit mesh actually. Edit mesh. And the thing I want to do is extrude, polyextrude, which is the polygon extrude option. It has no key assigned to it by default, so I can assign a new hotkey. So I can do E for extrude. Oh, but that's already taken because the E is assigned to the rotate tool. All right, let's try Option or Command E. Command E is assigned to nothing, it says underneath, meaning I can use this one. So Command key will now be my extrude. I didn't hit the assign key. There we go, Command E. Now it's assigned to the Command E. Save it. Close. And now if I extruded this one, I also need one more on top, so I'm going to hit Command E, and there we go, we got our shortcut set up, and I can work a lot faster because I can just hit that short key whenever I want to do something. Now, you might also have noticed that it's pretty annoying to have to click on a vertex, move it, 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 and click on a vertex, move it. Would be handy if you could just grab them and move them around. Well, you can if you hold down the tilde key, which is located right under escape and above the single quote. You go into, what did they call it again? Tweak mode, and you can just grab your polygons, your points, and without having to use a manipulator, you can just move them about. All right. Now, the front of his nose, I might need more nose on the side. So I'm just going to now select more than one edge, hit the E key, and go, zoop. Oh, that goes the wrong way. It needs to be in world space. Zoop. And now I also want to go here and start pulling it back, so I get more of a actual nose shape. And this row, since it's now no longer an edge row, I can double click on it and get the entire edge loop. So you probably also go back a little bit. So we get a little bit of roundness in the nose. I do want to have it go up a little bit more. So I'm going in, selecting both those edges, extruding them again with my neat little shortcut. Whoop. Get it up there. Go into vertex mode. Hit the tilde for the tweak mode. I need to go to move to do that. And move these polygons around a bit. And these actually need to not move into the face that much. So in this view, I need to bring these back out. And these probably need to go way back way more to get sort of a nose shape from the side. Next, I want to build a nice loop of polygons around the eye. So what I'll do, I'll start all over, go to my mesh tools, go create a polygon right here, again drawing counterclockwise, and say, okay, this is sort of where my first polygon should live. Zooming in on that, selecting an edge, and going to my short keys. And now I don't, because it's flat, I don't care about world space. I'm just going to drag it, extrude it, move it out there, and rotate it a little. Extrude it, move it out there, and rotate it a little. Rotate it a little. One more, get it out there, make sure this one is completely straight. I'm sort of eyeballing this, of course, now. I'm not being really neat about it, but just to get an idea how you can quickly start building, outlining a shape. Excuse me. That will also be on the video. So I'm just hitting extrude all the time and then just dragging it around pretty roughly and stopping just before I close it. Because now I need to connect these. I cannot just extrude it onto there. I could use the snap tool to snap them together, but for this last little polygon I'd like to use the append to polygon tool. That's a very useful tool to fill in holes and to add polygons to your geometry. So append to polygon, I can just click on one edge and it gives me all the possible other edges to connect this to, but I want to just get it go across there, click on the next edge, and I've got my extra polygon. So now I closed the loop. I probably want to go into move tweak mode and just adjust these points a little bit so it's a little bit neater around the eye. And one thing I'm running into now is that I can't really see my image behind my polygons. That's kind of annoying. I want to distribute it a little bit more evenly. Would be nice if I could still see my image through these polygons. If I just go to wireframe, I do see the wireframe, but I don't know which ones have polygons and which ones are just holes. This might very well also be a polygon, the eye itself. So we do want to see our polygons, but we just want to be able to see through them. And there's a little X-ray button up there, which I can click, which makes the polygon see-through. So now I can still see, they're sort of grayish, I can still see where my polygons live, but I can also see the image behind it to properly line out these polygons. Alright, so where does this eye shape now live in 3D space? Because I've been drawing it in front view all the time. It will be right smack in the middle of his face. So it's living out there, whereas the nose is already pulled up there. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to select the... I can't get to them right now. I always like to do vertices, so you can also select the edges, it doesn't really matter. And I'm going to put it out to where the eye is. Now the other thing is that the eye, of course, isn't flat. It's sort of a round, bulged shape. So I want to fold it around a bit so it follows the eye better. And a little trick to do that is to take just one point on the edge and turn on our soft selection by hitting the B. And it will select part of the eye. And if I now pull this back, and we can actually see that happen pretty neatly in top view, it will sort of start bending it depending on the profile that you chose for your soft selection. So if I go into my tool settings and go to soft selection, it's now this kind of ease in, ease out profile. You can choose different profiles for the selection. If I make it straight, it will just go straight like that more. And that's sort of what I probably want as a beginning for the eye. Oh, the soft selection was a bit too much. I pulled the entire thing back. Yeah, there we go. B and middle mouse drag gives you control over how big your soft selection is. Go to all the vertices and then just pull them forward a bit. So it starts to be a bit more like an eye shape. These probably I need to pull back a tiny bit as well to make it go round the eye. And then if we look in this view, sort of where the eye lives. Now I need more geometry. I'm going to turn soft selection back off, go into my edge selection. If I select this edge, let's do the front view. This edge, I want to have the entire edge loop selected. So now edge loops gets really handy because I double click on my edge, automatically selects the entire edge loop. If you hit extrude and switch to world space and hit the little block to go into scale, I can just scale out an entire new row of polygons. Sort of like this. I can then shape these to be sort of where I want them to be, and that in front view, that would be, these will probably be way more out there, sort of to follow the eye socket a bit more. This would go a little bit more over there, and these would go more to where the cheek is, and these would have to go in a bit. Let's not work on such a small scale. These would have to go in a bit, and these probably have to go even out a bit more to follow the cheek. Like this. So if you look at 3D space, you can see it's starting to get a little bit of the shape of an eye. Now I pulled it out quite a bit. It's too much. I need maybe one more subdivision around the eye. I could go back and not pull it out this far. I can also say, and it's another really useful tool, insert an edge loop and say, blink, I want another edge loop in there. So now I've got, just cut all those polygons in half. And I've got my another row of polygons in there that I can then shape. All right, I have an eye and I have a nose, and I think, okay, let's save this. Let's increment and save to have a new version. Blink.